What if I told you there is one simple shift that can make a man look at you differently, not as another person in his life, but as the most important woman in his entire universe? Have you ever wondered why some women seem to capture a man's heart so deeply that he can't stop thinking about them, while others fade into the background, no matter how much they try? The truth is, it's not about looks, it's not about perfection, and it's not even about doing everything right. It's about something far more powerful, something that speaks directly to the human mind, the human heart, and the very core of psychology. You see, people don't value what is common. They value what feels rare, what feels extraordinary. This is why some women never get forgotten, even years later, while others are treated as if they were replaceable. If you stay with me until the very end of this video, I promise you this, you will walk away with a mindset shift so strong that it can completely change how men see you forever. That is your reward. A new perspective that no one can take away from you. But first, let's create the foundation. Because everything starts with awareness. Awareness of how people think, how they feel, and how their psychology shapes their choices. Every man, no matter how confident or proud he looks on the outside, carries silent battles inside. Insecurity, fear of failure, fear of being judged. And here's the secret. The woman who becomes unforgettable is the one who steps beyond his surface and touches the hidden part of him, the part no one else dares to see. Now, pause for a moment and think about this. When was the last time you met someone who truly saw you? Not just your smile, not just your words, but the truth of who you are. Didn't it feel like you could breathe? Didn't it make you feel safe, understood, even valued? That feeling is rare. That feeling is powerful. And when you can give that to a man without losing yourself, you unlock the deepest bond. But here's the twist. You can't make him see you as important if you don't see yourself that way first. This is where psychology begins to work either for you or against you. Human beings mirror what they perceive. If you walk into a room carrying doubt, people feel it. If you walk into a room carrying quiet confidence, people feel that too. Men are no different. They sense energy. They notice what you accept, what you reject, and how you treat yourself. So if you treat yourself like a queen, he begins to see you as one. This is not arrogance. This is not pride. This is self-worth. And self-worth is magnetic. It pulls people in without effort. It makes them curious. It makes them want to stay. Think about it. A rare diamond does not beg to be chosen. Its value is already understood. You are that diamond, but only when you recognize it first. Psychologists often say that people are drawn to certainty. The more certain you are about yourself, the more attractive you become to others. Certainty does not mean perfection. It means you know who you are, you know what you deserve, and you refuse to shrink for anyone. This is why some women become unforgettable. They don't chase importance, they embody it. So let me ask you, right now, in this very moment, do you carry yourself as if you are the most important woman in your own life? Because that is where it begins. When you believe it, when you breathe it, when you stand tall in it, a man cannot help but feel it too. And when he feels it, everything changes. He doesn't just see your beauty, he feels your strength. He doesn't just hear your words, he feels your truth. He doesn't just spend time with you, he values every second because he knows he is standing in the presence of someone who will not be found twice in a lifetime. This is the first step. This is the seed. And the seed, once planted, grows into a love and respect that goes beyond the surface. A love that makes him look at you and say, she is not just any woman, she is the woman. And here's the gift I promised you. Stay with me until the very end, because each part of this journey will add another layer to this transformation. By the time we are done, you won't just understand how to make him see you as the most important woman in his universe. You will become that woman. Unshakable, irreplaceable, unforgettable, because the truth is simple. You don't need to chase his attention. You don't need to beg for his love. When you rise into your own power, when you claim your own worth, he has no choice but to see you differently. Psychology will do the work for you. Human nature will do the rest. And the result? He will not just admire you. He will treasure you. This is the beginning. This is where the shift starts. And as we move forward step by step, I will show you how to carry this power into every part of your relationship until he sees you not only as important, but as the most important woman in his universe. The truth is, Nothing makes a person more unforgettable than authenticity. When a man looks at you and feels that what you give is real, unfiltered, and rare, his mind begins to place you in a category no one else can enter. Human psychology is wired to chase what feels different, what feels genuine, what feels impossible to copy. And that is the secret behind becoming the woman who is not just seen but remembered, respected, and cherished. Think about this for a moment. The world is filled with noise, people pretending, people hiding, people doing everything they can to fit in. But fitting in has never created greatness. It has never created deep admiration. What makes someone stand out is their ability to be fully themselves without apology. That energy is rare. That energy makes a man's mind stop and pay attention. Men, like all humans, value what they cannot easily find. This is the foundation of attraction. Scarcity makes something precious, not scarcity of presence, but scarcity of authenticity. When you are unapologetically yourself, when you are not bending to please, when you speak with truth in your voice, it becomes clear you cannot be replaced. And once the mind labels someone as irreplaceable, it locks them in a permanent place of importance. Here's where psychology reveals something powerful. Studies show that people don't always remember what was said, but they always remember how someone made them feel. If your presence makes him feel alive, safe, and inspired all at once, you begin to rewrite the way his brain processes your value. He doesn't see you as an option anymore. He begins to see you as the center, the anchor, the rare light that no one else carries. Now notice this carefully. True importance is not something you demand. It's not something you argue for. The moment you try to force it, it slips away. Importance is created when your presence shifts the way he experiences life. When he feels stronger because of you, when he feels calmer in your energy, when he feels seen without having to explain himself. That is when the connection becomes extraordinary. And here lies the hidden truth. A man may admire beauty, he may notice charm, but what makes him commit his heart is depth. Depth is what separates a fleeting attraction from lifelong significance. Depth is built through authenticity, through honesty, through a woman's ability to stand firmly in who she is no matter what. When he sees that, he realizes he is not just with someone attractive, he is with someone rare. Imagine the power of this. Every person he meets may look good, may speak well, may show interest, but when he meets a woman who shows up as her full self, who does not hide, who does not compromise her essence, his mind locks in. Why? Because his psychology knows that what is scarce must be protected. And once he feels that you are scarce, that you are not like the rest, he begins to see you not only as important, but as essential. Let's take this deeper. Human beings are always scanning for value. The mind is constantly measuring, is this person worth my energy, my time, my loyalty? And the measurement is not based on what you give in material form. It is based on how you make them feel within themselves. When a man feels stronger around you, when he feels more certain, when he feels more alive, his brain ties those feelings to your presence. That is how you rise from being just a person in his life to becoming the person his heart cannot live without. And remember this, people never treasure what is given too easily. They treasure what feels earned, what feels special. This is why authenticity is powerful. It is not something that can be imitated. No one else can give him you. No one else can replicate your energy, your truth, your depth. This is why the woman who embodies authenticity becomes the most important. She becomes the one his mind cannot replace, no matter where he goes. But here is the beauty of it. Authenticity is effortless once you commit to it. You don't have to create it. You don't have to practice. You only have to release everything false, everything forced, everything that was taught to please others. And the moment you release all of that, you become magnetic without even trying. That is when a man looks at you and realizes he has found something that cannot be duplicated. And this is the hidden core truth. You don't have to fight for importance. You don't have to beg for it. You only have to embody it. Psychology, human nature, and the way the mind attaches value will do the rest. Once you stand fully in authenticity, you rise above comparison. And when there is no comparison, there is no competition. You become the one. You become the center. You become the universe he chooses to orbit around. Because in the end, what men remember is not the surface, but the soul. Not the temporary, but the timeless. And authenticity is timeless. Authenticity cannot fade. It cannot be replaced. It cannot be forgotten. That is the force that makes a man see you as the most important woman in his universe. If you want a man to see you as extraordinary, it starts with how you see yourself. Before anyone can value you, you must carry the belief that you are already valuable. This is not about arrogance. It is about knowing your worth so deeply that it becomes unshakable. Because when you hold that inner certainty, people around you begin to reflect it back to you. And nothing makes a man place you at the center of his world more than watching you live with undeniable self-respect. Human psychology works like a mirror. People treat you according to the standards you set for yourself. If you see yourself as average, others will follow. If you see yourself as precious, others will rise to meet that vision. A man cannot hold you higher than the level you hold yourself. This is why self-worth is the foundation of everything. Without it, nothing else lasts. With it, everything becomes possible. Think about it. When you meet someone who walks with quiet confidence, who does not need outside approval to feel whole, don't you instantly feel their presence? Don't you notice how they stand out, without trying, without forcing? That is the power of self-worth. It sends out a silent signal that others cannot ignore. A man's mind picks it up instantly. And once he feels that signal, he cannot look at you the same way again. But here's the challenge. Many people look for their worth in others. They wait for validation, for compliments, for attention to tell them who they are. And the danger in that is simple. What others give, they can also take away. If your worth depends on outside approval, it will rise and fall like a fragile wave. But when your worth comes from within, it becomes permanent. No rejection, no silence, no failure can remove it. And that permanence is what makes you powerful. A man feels this difference. He feels when a woman's strength comes from her own belief. He feels when she is not waiting for him to define her, but instead invites him to rise and meet her where she already stands. That is when respect is born. That is when importance is given without question. Because the human mind admires what it cannot break, and a woman with self-worth cannot be broken. Now ask yourself, do you live as if you are the most important person in your own life? Do you honor your time, your energy, your dreams? Or do you shrink to make others comfortable? Psychology teaches us that people notice what you tolerate. If you accept less than you deserve, they will offer you less. If you demand more through your actions, they will rise to meet it. The way you treat yourself writes the script for how others treat you. Imagine this clearly. A woman who knows her worth does not beg for attention. She does not chase for love. She does not stay where she is not valued. Instead, she walks with quiet certainty that she will be honored because she honors herself first. This certainty changes how men see her. She is not just another person hoping to be chosen. She is the choice. She is the one he feels lucky to have in his life. Self-worth also builds a boundary. And boundaries are not walls. They are doors that protect what matters. A man does not admire a woman who accepts anything. He admires the one who is clear about what she will allow and what she will never accept. That clarity creates respect. It shows him that she cannot be replaced with ease, because not everyone has the strength to live with that discipline. Here's another truth. Self-worth makes you magnetic not only to others, but to life itself. When you believe you deserve abundance, opportunities appear. When you believe you deserve love, connections deepen. When you believe you deserve respect, people offer it without being asked. The world mirrors your belief. And in a relationship, this mirror becomes even stronger. A man naturally aligns with the way you carry yourself. If you see yourself as a treasure, he will treat you as one. Think of the strongest relationships you've seen. They are never built on neediness. They are built on two people who see their own value first and then choose to share it with each other. That is the kind of love that lasts. That is the kind of bond that makes a man look at you and think, she is the one I cannot lose. And remember this. Self-worth is not built overnight. It is built in the daily choices you make, choosing not to settle, choosing not to betray yourself, choosing to walk away when something lowers your spirit. Each choice adds to your strength. Each choice builds your power. Until one day, you no longer question it. You simply live it. And when you live it, others cannot help but recognize it. The human mind longs for stability. A man wants someone who can stand strong when life shakes him. And that strength is born from self-worth. When you hold yourself with honor, you become unshakable. He feels it, he sees it, he knows it, and that is when he begins to treat you not just as important, but as the most important. So let this truth sink in deeply. You don't need to wait for him to see your value. You only need to see it yourself first. Once you live with that belief, the rest will follow. Because nothing is more magnetic than a woman who knows she is already enough, already whole, already deserving. That is the kind of woman who does not just enter a man's world, she becomes the center of it. Energy is the invisible force that speaks louder than words. Long before you open your mouth, before you make a move, your energy tells the world who you are. And here is the powerful truth. People respond more to the feeling you give them than the words you say. This is why some women walk into a room and immediately change the atmosphere. It's not about appearance. It's not about status. It's about the vibration they carry within themselves. That unseen power is what makes a man pay attention in ways he cannot even explain. Every human being is drawn to energy. Psychology has shown again and again that emotions are contagious. When you carry calmness, others feel safe. When you radiate joy, others feel alive. When you project certainty, others feel steady. Men, in particular, are highly sensitive to this. Even if they never admit it, they are influenced deeply by the emotional energy of the woman beside them. If your energy lifts, strengthens, and centers him, he cannot help but place you above all others. Think for a moment about people you have met who drained you without even speaking much. You walked away feeling tired, heavy, or uneasy. Now think of someone whose presence filled you with light, with peace, with motivation. The difference was not their words, it was their energy. And this is the secret most people never learn. Your energy is your greatest language. It teaches others how to feel when they are around you. It leaves an imprint that lasts long after you're gone. When a man meets a woman who carries energy that balances strength and softness, he feels something rare. He feels the fire that challenges him to grow, and at the same time the calm that assures him he is safe. That combination is magnetic. It makes him want to stay close, not because of what you do, but because of how he feels in your presence. That feeling becomes addictive. It creates a bond that cannot be shaken by distance, time, or distraction. But here's the key. Your energy reflects your inner state. If you live in constant doubt, your energy will reveal it. If you carry bitterness, it will show, no matter how much you try to hide it. In the same way, if you carry peace, confidence, and strength, people will feel it without needing proof. This is why protecting your inner world is essential. What you carry inside is what you project outside, and that projection is what a man responds to most. Many women try to impress with actions, gestures, or endless giving, but psychology shows that what touches a person most deeply is not the action itself, but the emotion behind it. If your actions come from fear, he will sense it. If they come from confidence, he will feel that too. Men crave the energy of a woman who knows her own value and lives from that place. That is what makes her unforgettable. And notice something important. Energy does not shout. It does not beg for attention. It does not force. True energy is quiet but undeniable. It moves through presence, through body language, through tone. You can say nothing at all and still command a man's full focus if your energy is centered and strong. That is the level of influence that changes how he sees you. He does not compare you to anyone else because the way you make him feel is beyond comparison. Now, let's go even deeper. Energy also creates polarity, the natural pull between masculine and feminine forces. When you are fully grounded in your own feminine flow, you allow him to step fully into his masculine drive. This balance creates harmony. He feels stronger because of your presence, yet he also feels softened in the best way. It's not about control, it's about alignment. And when that alignment exists, he begins to feel that you are not just important, you are essential. Consider how people always remember those who change their emotional state. You may forget someone's words, but you never forget how they made you feel. A man who feels alive, respected, and safe in your energy will attach that feeling to you. It becomes impossible for him to separate his emotions from your presence. And this is where deep importance is born, not from logic, but from the heart. But remember, energy is not something you put on like a mask. It is something you cultivate from within. It grows from the way you think, the way you treat yourself, the way you handle challenges. Every choice you make adds to your field of energy. And when you build it with intention, you create an aura that commands respect without a word. That aura makes a man see you not as ordinary, but as extraordinary. And the most powerful part is this: energy never lies. Words can be faked, actions can be staged, but energy reveals truth every time. A man knows when a woman's energy is genuine, and when it is, he feels drawn in ways he cannot resist. He feels a connection that logic cannot explain, only experience can. That is the kind of force that places you at the center of his heart. So understand this deeply. You do not have to chase, convince, or compete. All you need to do is guard your inner state, cultivate the right energy, and let it radiate outward. When you do, you create a magnetic field that pulls him toward you again and again, and in his mind, you are no longer just a person he likes. You become the presence he craves. You become the one he cannot imagine living without. That is the power of energy. It is unseen, but it is the most powerful influence you carry. And when you master it, you rise beyond comparison and take your place as the most important woman in his universe. There is a silent force that makes a person unforgettable, and that force is mystery. Mystery is not about hiding who you are. It is not about playing games or pretending to be someone else. True mystery comes from knowing that not every part of you needs to be revealed at once. It comes from holding pieces of yourself with care, allowing them to unfold slowly, like chapters in a book. And the reason this is powerful is simple. The human mind is wired to desire what it cannot fully grasp. Psychology calls this the power of scarcity and anticipation. When something is rare, when it cannot be reached easily, the value of it rises in the mind. People are drawn to what is not fully available because it awakens curiosity. It creates a hunger to discover more. A woman who embodies mystery does not overwhelm a man with everything all at once. She allows him to experience her depth over time, and in doing so, she becomes unforgettable. Think of it like this: when you already know the ending of a story, the excitement fades. But when each page reveals something new, you cannot stop reading. That is how a man feels when he is with a woman who carries mystery. She does not rush to show every detail of herself. She lets him earn each layer, and the more he earns, the more he values. Because psychology tells us that people respect what they invest in. If he works to understand you, he will treasure what he discovers. Now, let's go deeper. Mystery is not silence. It is not withholding for the sake of power. Mystery is depth. It is the quiet confidence of knowing you hold worlds within you, and not all of them need to be on display. It is the awareness that your value does not come from constant exposure, but from being selective with what you share. This is not manipulation. It is wisdom. Because when you honor your own depth, you teach others to honor it too. When a man feels that he has not yet discovered everything about you, he stays engaged. His mind stays active. His curiosity grows. He sees you not as predictable, but as endlessly fascinating. And this is what creates long-term attraction. Many relationships fade because they become routine. But when you embody mystery, you remain a source of wonder. He cannot place you in a simple box. He cannot feel like he has figured you out completely. That is what makes him keep coming back again and again. But here is the most important part. Mystery must be balanced with authenticity. If you hide out of fear, it creates distance. If you withhold because of insecurity, it creates confusion. But when your mystery is rooted in strength, when it comes from self-respect and depth, it becomes magnetic. It makes him realize that you are not a puzzle to solve, but a universe to explore. And that is when he begins to see you not only as significant, but as the most important presence in his life. Notice how this works in daily life. The woman who shares her entire life story in one meeting often gets overlooked, but the woman who speaks with depth, who reveals only what feels right in the moment, leaves an imprint. She leaves a question mark in his mind. And the human brain cannot resist a question mark. It seeks answers. It seeks closure. This is why mystery is irresistible. It activates a man's natural drive to pursue, to discover, to stay engaged. And here's the beauty of it. Mystery is not something you perform. It is something you embody when you are grounded in your worth. When you know you are valuable, you don't rush to prove it. You don't need to display every detail to be seen. You trust that your presence is enough. That trust creates space. That space is what draws him closer, because men are drawn to women who leave room for imagination, for discovery, for growth. Think of the stars in the sky. You cannot touch them. You cannot fully reach them. And yet they are the most admired, the most watched, the most desired. Why? Because their distance creates wonder. In the same way, a woman who carries herself with mystery becomes like a star in a man's universe. He looks at her with awe, with respect, with admiration that does not fade. This is the silent truth. When you reveal yourself too quickly, you take away the gift of discovery. But when you reveal yourself slowly, with grace and confidence, you create a journey. And journeys are remembered far more than destinations. A man does not just want to see you, he wants to discover you. And when you allow him that experience, he values you in a way he never forgets. So remember this, mystery is not distance, it is depth. It is not withholding, it is unfolding. It is not about keeping secrets, it is about revealing yourself with intention. When you embody this, you stop being someone he notices for a moment, and you become someone he cannot stop thinking about. You become the question his heart longs to answer, the story his soul wants to read, the universe he chooses to orbit around. And this is why mystery is not just attractive, it is unforgettable. It is the element that keeps a man's mind, heart, and spirit tied to you. It is what makes him look at you and realize, she is not just important, she is everything. Respect is the foundation of every lasting connection. Without it, attraction fades. Without it, even love weakens. But when respect is present, everything else grows stronger. And the truth is, respect is not given by chance. It is created by the way you carry yourself and the standards you hold. When a man respects you, he sees you differently. He doesn't just admire you, he honors you. He doesn't just enjoy your presence, he protects it. This shift is what makes a woman rise in his mind as irreplaceable. Human psychology proves that people treat you according to the limits you set. If there are no boundaries, people will take as much as they can. But when you draw clear lines, you teach others how to value you. This is not about being cold or distant. It is about showing that your time, your energy, and your heart are not for careless handling. A man feels this instantly, and when he feels it, his behavior changes. He becomes more careful, more intentional, more committed, because he knows that your respect for yourself leaves no room for anything less. Think about how people treasure fragile objects. They handle them with care because they understand their worth. But if something seems common, it is tossed aside without thought. The same law applies to relationships. When you allow disrespect, even in small forms, you lower the way someone sees you. But when you hold firm to your boundaries, you rise in their eyes. A man begins to see that you are not a woman who can be taken lightly. You are someone who demands and deserves to be treated with honor. Respect also comes from consistency. If your words say one thing but your actions say another, people will lose trust. But when your actions match your standards, you build a reputation of strength. A man respects a woman who is steady in her values. He knows that she cannot be swayed by pressure and that certainty draws him closer. Because deep down, every person longs for stability. And stability is built on respect. Let's take this deeper. A man may feel attraction toward many, but he gives true devotion only to the one he respects. Respect is what separates temporary attention from lifelong loyalty. When he respects you, he cannot treat you casually. He cannot ignore you. He cannot replace you, because his own conscience will not allow it. That is the power of respect. It binds his actions, not through force, but through admiration. But here is something many overlook. Respect does not come from demanding it. It comes from embodying it. If you respect yourself, it shows in how you speak, in how you carry your body, in how you respond to situations. You do not need to explain it, because your energy communicates it for you. And when a man feels that, he rises to meet it. He gives you his best, because anything less will not be accepted. Respect also transforms the way a man listens. Without respect, your words may be heard but not taken seriously. With respect, every word carries weight. He does not just hear you, he considers you. He does not just respond, he remembers. This is why women who command respect often find themselves deeply valued, not because they speak louder, but because their presence carries authority, and that authority comes from their inner strength. Another powerful truth is that respect builds desire. Some believe that being too available keeps someone close, but psychology shows the opposite. When there are standards, when there are boundaries, desire increases. Why? Because people value what is not easily accessed. A man will work harder, give more, and invest deeper when he knows that your respect must be earned and maintained. That effort strengthens the bond. It makes him appreciate you more because he knows your worth is not negotiable. And respect flows both ways. When you honor yourself, you also naturally honor him. This balance creates harmony. He feels seen not just as a man, but as a human being with dreams, fears, and dignity. This mutual respect builds a partnership where both people feel uplifted. And when a man feels that kind of balance, he does not just love you, he cherishes you. He sees you as the one who elevates his world. Think of the women who leave lasting impressions. They are not always the loudest, the most glamorous, or the most noticeable in the beginning, but they are the ones who walk with dignity. They are the ones who refuse to accept less than they deserve. They are the ones who inspire respect without needing to demand it. And because of that, they are remembered, valued, and held in the highest place. So understand this clearly. Respect is not just a part of love, it is the core of it. Without it, love cannot survive. With it, love becomes stronger than time. When a man respects you, he will treat you as rare. He will guard your place in his life. He will see you as the most important woman, not because you asked for it, but because you became it through the way you honor yourself. Carry yourself with respect, and you will be respected. Protect your boundaries, and you will be treasured. Live with dignity, and you will be seen as priceless. This is the silent language that shapes how a man perceives you. It is the force that moves you from ordinary to unforgettable, from just being present in his life to being the center of it. And once he feels this, he cannot go back. In his heart, you are no longer just important, you are essential. Beyond respect, there is something even deeper that binds two souls together: emotional connection. This is the invisible thread that turns admiration into devotion, that turns closeness into something unshakable. A man can be surrounded by many, yet feel completely alone if no one touches his heart. But when he meets a woman who understands his emotions, who allows him to feel safe while still being himself, she rises in his world as someone irreplaceable. Every human being longs to be understood. More than success, more than possessions, more than recognition, people crave connection. The mind is logical, but the heart is emotional. And psychology teaches us that decisions, especially in relationships, are driven far more by feelings than by logic. When a man feels seen without judgment, he begins to lower his walls. And when those walls fall, a bond is formed that no charm, no beauty, no surface attraction could ever replace. Many men carry unspoken battles. They wear confidence on the outside but hide fears within. Society often teaches them to stay silent, to appear strong even when they are hurting, but this creates a weight, and here is where a deep connection begins. When you allow him to express without fear of being diminished, when he realizes he can bring his truth to you, not just his victories but also his struggles, he feels something he rarely feels: freedom. That freedom is priceless. It makes him associate your presence with peace. It makes him see you as more than a partner. It makes you his safe place. And once a man finds that safety, he will do everything to protect it, because it is something he does not find everywhere. Emotional connection is not about fixing him. It is not about solving every problem. It is about being the one who listens, the one who understands, the one who allows him to be human without fear. But emotional connection is not one-sided. It also comes from your openness. When you share your feelings with honesty, when you let him see parts of you that are real, not just polished, you invite him into your inner world. Vulnerability, when rooted in strength, creates closeness. It shows that you trust him enough to let him in. And that trust builds loyalty, because men value what they have been entrusted with. This kind of bond goes beyond attraction. Attraction may catch his eye, but emotional connection captures his heart. It creates a sense of belonging. He no longer sees you as someone outside of himself. He begins to feel that you are part of him. Psychology explains that emotional memories are the strongest memories. If you give him joy, comfort, and understanding, those feelings imprint deeply in his mind. And once imprinted, they are almost impossible to erase. Notice how this works in daily life. A man may remember a beautiful face for a moment, but he remembers the woman who made him feel alive for a lifetime. He may admire many, but he will only commit fully to the one who touches his emotions. Because at the end of every day, the human heart longs not just for attraction, but for connection. And when he finds that with you, he no longer looks elsewhere. And let's go even deeper. Emotional connection also builds trust. Without trust, no relationship can survive. Trust is not created by promises. It is created by consistency of presence. When you show up with honesty, When your actions match your words, when you remain steady in how you care, you build an emotional foundation he cannot deny. That foundation makes him feel secure. And security is what transforms love from temporary to eternal. Emotional connection also awakens admiration. When you understand him at his core, he begins to see you as someone rare. He realizes you notice what others overlook. You hear what others ignore. You feel what others cannot. That awareness makes him respect you on a deeper level. And respect, combined with connection, is what makes him see you as the most important woman in his life. But remember, connection does not mean losing yourself. It does not mean giving up your strength or your standards. In fact, the strongest connections are built when both people remain whole. You bring your truth, he brings his, and together you build something greater. When a man feels that balance, he is not only drawn to you, he is anchored by you. You become the calm in his storm, the light in his darkness, the strength in his weakness. Think of the bonds that endure through time. They are never just about attraction or convenience. They are built on emotional intimacy. The deep knowing that no matter what happens, there is one person who understands, who accepts, who sees the soul beneath the surface. That level of closeness makes you unforgettable. It makes you more than important. It makes you essential. So let this truth settle deeply within you. A man may admire your strength, he may respect your standards, but what will bind him to you for life is the emotional connection you create. When you give him a space where he feels safe, when you open your heart with honesty, when you allow him to be seen fully, you become more than a woman in his life. You become the heart of his universe. And once he feels that, he will hold on with everything he has. Every strong bond grows deeper when there is a shared vision and personal growth. Attraction may spark the connection, emotions may strengthen it, but growth is what makes it last. Human beings are wired to move forward. We are not built to remain the same forever. And when a man looks at a woman and sees that she is not standing still, but constantly evolving, his respect for her rises. She becomes more than someone to love. She becomes someone to admire. Growth shows that you value yourself enough to keep reaching higher. It proves that you are not content with being average, but instead committed to becoming the best version of yourself. Psychology teaches us that progress creates fulfillment. When people feel they are growing, they feel alive. When they feel stuck, they lose energy, passion, and focus. This is why a woman who continues to expand in her life, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, radiates an energy that cannot be ignored. She lights a fire in those around her, and a man who experiences this fire begins to see her as a source of inspiration. Vision is just as important. Vision means you know where you are going. You carry a sense of direction, even if the road is not perfect. A woman with vision walks with purpose, and purpose is magnetic. A man who sees this cannot help but feel drawn to it. He sees not just the woman in front of him, but the future she carries within her. And when that future is filled with ambition, faith, and clarity, he feels compelled to be part of it. But let's look even deeper. Growth and vision are not about constant achievement or proving yourself. They are about mindset. They are about believing in more, seeking more, and living with the awareness that life has no limits except the ones we accept. When you embody this, you awaken something in him. You show him that life is not meant to be survived, but lived fully. You remind him that dreams are worth chasing, and this reminder makes you unforgettable. Because you are not only walking your own path, you are showing him his as well. Consider the power of influence. Every person is shaped by the people closest to them. When a man is with someone who complains, who settles, who resists change, he begins to shrink too. But when he is with someone who pushes forward, who believes in possibilities, who refuses to stop growing, he begins to expand. He becomes better because of her. And psychology tells us that people naturally hold on to those who make them better. If you become that source of growth, you are not just loved, you are treasured. This kind of influence does not come from preaching or pushing. It comes from living your truth so fully that it inspires without effort. When a man watches you pursue your goals, when he sees you face challenges with courage, when he notices you refusing to give up on yourself, he begins to feel something powerful. Pride. Pride in knowing you, pride in standing beside you, pride in calling you his. And pride strengthens love. It transforms it from a feeling into a commitment. Growth also creates depth in a relationship. Without it, things become routine. Without it, conversations lose their spark, but when both people are growing, there is always something new to share, to learn, to explore. A man who experiences this with you never feels bored. Instead, he feels challenged, awakened, and alive. And when a woman gives him this experience, he sees her as more than important. He sees her as vital. Vision adds another layer. A man may be strong on his own, but even the strongest need encouragement. When you believe in his potential, when you remind him of the greatness within him, you awaken parts of him he may have forgotten. You help him see what he cannot always see in himself. That kind of support is rare, and when he feels it, he cannot imagine life without it, because the person who fuels his vision is not just a partner, she is the anchor of his destiny. But here is the secret: growth and vision must also be personal. You cannot only push him, you must push yourself. A man respects a woman who leads by example. If you expect him to rise, rise yourself. If you want him to pursue more yourself. This shared energy creates balance. It shows him that you are not just talking about growth, you are living it. And that authenticity makes him hold you higher in his world. Think of the couples that inspire others. They are not perfect, but they grow together. They learn, they evolve, they push each other to become stronger. That is why they last. That is why they stand out. And the woman at the center of such a bond is always remembered as the force that moved things forward. She is the one who turned potential into reality, dreams into achievements, and love into legacy. So never underestimate the power of your growth. Never underestimate the impact of your vision. They are not just for you, they shape how he sees you. They transform you in his eyes from someone he admires to someone he cannot live without. Because growth gives him progress, vision gives him purpose, and together they give him a future worth building. And when he looks at you and sees not only beauty, not only care, but the fire of growth and the clarity of vision, he realizes the truth: you are not just part of his life. You are the guide, the inspiration, the woman who makes everything greater. In his universe, that makes you not just important, but the most important of all. There comes a moment in every deep bond where something inside a man's mind shifts. At first, he may see you as someone special, someone who brings value to his life. But with time, as your presence continues to shape him, a change begins to take place at the core of his thoughts. He no longer compares you to anyone else, because in his mind, no one else even exists on the same level. This shift is powerful. It is the moment when you move from being significant to being essential. Human psychology explains that the mind is designed to create associations. Every feeling, every memory, every experience becomes linked to the people around us. When a man experiences peace, growth, and inspiration with you, his mind begins to anchor those positive emotions directly to your presence. You are no longer just part of his days, you become the reason those days carry meaning. That is the shift, when he no longer sees you as an option, but as the foundation of his happiness. Think about what happens when someone becomes a habit. At first, habits are choices. You choose to do something, you decide to repeat it, and then slowly it becomes automatic. The same applies in relationships. When a man repeatedly experiences comfort, strength, and joy in your presence, his brain wires itself to crave you. You are no longer a choice, your presence feels like a need. And when a man reaches that point, his entire outlook changes. This is not about dependence. It is about recognition. He recognizes that life with you is richer, brighter, more meaningful. He recognizes that his energy rises when you are near and fades when you are not. He recognizes that your influence is so deep that without you, something feels incomplete. And recognition leads to devotion, because once a man fully understands your worth, he cannot unsee it. He cannot go back to a life where you are not at the center. The shift in his mind also reshapes the way he behaves. He no longer thinks only about himself. He begins to think in terms of us. His choices are no longer self-centered. They become connected to your well-being. Psychology calls this integration. It is when another person becomes so significant that the brain naturally includes them in every decision. This is why he starts considering your opinions, your comfort, and your dreams as part of his own. Because in his mind, your lives are no longer separate. They are woven together. This change often happens quietly. There may not be a dramatic moment where he announces it, but you will see it in his actions. He may start protecting you more fiercely. He may plan with your happiness in mind. He may carry your presence into rooms you never entered because in his head you are always there. That is the shift. When you stop being part of his life and start being his life. What creates this shift is not perfection. It is not about always saying the right things or doing everything flawlessly. What creates it is consistency, the steady rhythm of your presence, the reliability of your support, the constant reminder through your actions that you are there not only in good times, but also in storms. A man's mind begins to relax when he realizes you are not temporary. That realization becomes the soil in which devotion grows. Another aspect of this mental change is admiration. When he sees you embody strength, vision, and heart, he does not just love you, he respects you, and respect magnifies love. It makes him value you differently. Many people are loved, but not all are respected. When you hold both places in his heart, the shift becomes permanent. You are no longer someone he wants. You are someone he feels proud to stand beside. And then comes identity. The human mind builds identity around the things that matter most. When someone is deeply important, they become part of how we see ourselves. This is why couples who share a deep bond often say, "I can't imagine my life without you." It is not just a phrase, it is psychological truth. The brain rewires itself to include the other person in its sense of self. When this happens, you are no longer just the most important woman to him. You are part of who he is. This shift is the moment everything changes. It is when he moves from affection to loyalty, from attraction to commitment, from interest to devotion. Once a man's mind reaches this place, his actions reveal it. He no longer looks for better because he already knows he has the best. He no longer wonders if you are worth it because you are the very measure of worth in his eyes. He no longer fears losing you because the thought of it feels like losing himself. Understand this. The most powerful position you can hold in a man's life is not in his arms, but in his mind, because the mind controls everything else. When he sees you as the center of his peace, the source of his strength, and the fire that keeps his vision alive, you become his anchor. That is the point where you are not just loved, you are honored, cherished, and held above all others. And when his mind shifts like this, nothing can replace you. No distraction can take your place. No comparison can weaken your position. Because in his world, you are no longer one part of his universe. You are the universe itself. When a bond reaches the point where it feels unshakable, something rare is created. An irreplaceable connection. It is no longer about attraction, attention, or even passion alone. It becomes something far greater, something that touches the deepest layers of the human heart and mind. This is the stage where a man stops seeing you as someone who adds to his life and begins to see you as the very essence of it. Psychology shows us that once someone becomes linked to our sense of identity, removing them feels impossible. That is what makes a bond unbreakable. It is no longer about what you do for him, but about who you are to him. An irreplaceable bond is built through countless small moments that leave deep impressions. It is not the grand gestures, but the subtle consistency, the way you listen when no one else does, the way you remind him of his strength when he doubts himself, the way your presence gives him calm in a chaotic world. These moments sink into his memory and become part of his emotional foundation. Every time he thinks of stability, his mind connects it to you. Every time he imagines comfort, his heart recalls your presence. Slowly, you become the answer to his unspoken needs. What makes this bond so powerful is that it cannot be replicated. A man may meet many people, but the depth of connection he shares with you becomes unique because of the experiences, emotions, and growth you created together. Human psychology confirms that the brain does not attach equally to everyone. It attaches deeply to those who meet emotional needs in a way that feels rare. That is why, once this bond is formed, he does not see you as one of many. He sees you as one of one. This connection also builds resilience. Every relationship faces challenges, but when a bond is irreplaceable, difficulties do not weaken it, they strengthen it. Instead of pulling him away, obstacles remind him of how much he values you. He realizes that the bond is worth protecting, worth fighting for, worth keeping at all costs. This resilience is what separates ordinary connections from extraordinary ones. Because ordinary bonds break under pressure, while extraordinary ones grow stronger. Another dimension of this bond is emotional safety. when he knows he can be vulnerable with you, when he knows he can show both his strength and his weakness without fear of judgment, he experiences a rare freedom. Very few people in life give us the space to be our full selves. When you provide that, you become irreplaceable because you are not only loved, you are trusted with his soul. Trust at this level creates a depth of intimacy that no outside force can compete with. This bond is also fueled by gratitude. When a man consistently feels thankful for your presence, when he looks at his life and sees it elevated because of you, gratitude transforms into reverence. He no longer takes you for granted because his mind is trained to remember the difference you make. Gratitude cements attachment because the brain holds tightly to what it values most. And when he constantly recognizes your impact, he realizes that losing you would mean losing the very ground beneath his feet. Irreplaceability is not about being perfect. It is about being authentic. The bond becomes strong because it is real. It is not built on pretending, not built on constant effort to impress, but built on showing up as your true self. When a man experiences your honesty, your rawness, your genuine care, he stops searching for more because he understands he already has what is rare. Authenticity creates loyalty. It makes him secure in the knowledge that what he has with you cannot be duplicated with anyone else. Over time, this bond reshapes how he defines love. For many, love is fleeting, tied only to emotions or circumstances. But when you hold this place in his life, love becomes permanent. It is no longer about how he feels in a single moment, but about who he has chosen for a lifetime. His actions shift from temporary affection to lasting devotion. He becomes protective, not out of fear, but out of recognition that he is holding something priceless. This bond also influences the way he sees the world. When a man has someone irreplaceable, he no longer seeks fulfillment elsewhere. He stops searching for what he already possesses. This is why you begin to notice his energy shifting. He becomes more focused, more stable, more at peace, because in his heart, the search is over. He has found what others spend their lives looking for, and he knows it. The deepest part of an irreplaceable bond is legacy. It is not only about the present, but about the future. He begins to imagine not just days with you, but years, not just moments, but a lifetime. He starts to see his life story with you written at the center. And when a man envisions his future with a woman as the anchor, he has already decided that she is not just important, she is everything. This is when you realize the truth. Being irreplaceable does not mean you hold him tightly. It means he holds on to you, because in his eyes there is no comparison, no substitute, no alternative. You have become the standard, the rare presence that changed his life forever. And in that place, you are not just seen, not just loved, but valued beyond measure. You are the woman who became his universe.